So this is going to be a video we've never made before. We've never tried this. I wanted to go out there and see what it was like, because earlier in April we had ourselves an article published on The Athletic by Corey Pronman. Take a look at this. NHL 2024 Draft Prospects Ranking. Celebrini leads Pronman's April list, and Levshunov follows. Lego, what the hell are you doing reading an Athletic article of a Corey Pronman draft ranking from April? It's now June. You're 2 months late on this, and yes, I know this is not the most up-to-date ranking, but the reason I like this one in particular compared to some of the other newer ones is because this one happens to have a player comparison for every prospect that is listed here. And what I wanted to do in this video was go over these player comps. Now, we're going to go and leave a link in the description if you want to read the article yourself, but I'll tell you right here the way we're accessing these comparisons, because they have been posted online in a few places. This was actually posted on the San Jose Sharks subreddit by Wars1. He posted a 2024 draft rankings casual analysis, and deep in the comments section there was a post of somebody posting the entire Corey Pronman list with each of the comparables listed, which is what we care about in this one because it'll give us a better idea as to which prospects are available in the draft and what they could project to be. Why I Want videos are fun, but it's not 2019 anymore. YouTube's changed. So, let's go out there and talk about Corey Pronman's first overall projection and comparison. Tier 1, elite NHL player, he has Macklin Celebrini projecting similarly to Sidney Crosby. Now, okay, I know what you're thinking. Celebrini is not going to be Sidney Crosby, and I agree with that. He's not going to be a 100-point NHL rookie. He's not going to be a guaranteed Hall of Famer, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. I mean, he might be, who knows. But Sidney Crosby was a generation-defining superstar. Celebrini is not that, but the reason why he's being compared to Crosby in this respect is because everything that you can be good at, Sidney Crosby was good at. He was labeled the best grinder hockey has ever seen for a reason. He pretty much has the skill set of a two-way defensively responsible middle to bottom line guy. But Crosby happened to have everything else at a generational level as well. So while Crosby is a guy who has no imperfections, he is the surgeon, he is the most precise hockey player to have played in the past 30 years, Celebrini is a player who exhibits similar skills. Maybe not the same high-end ceiling, but everything you can be good at, Celebrini is good at. He plays with pace, he can make passes, he can score goals, he plays very well two-way, he plays in his own zone, he can win board battles. He isn't the biggest guy in the world, but there isn't really a flaw in Celebrini's game. In fact, I've seen some people saying if you wanted to talk about a career comparison, talk about whom it is Celebrini could project similarly to in the NHL, I'd say Jack Hughes is the big one that everybody says. Celebrini may not be as good as Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews, but it could be in that Jack Hughes territory with a similar skill set to Crosby, where it's not like he's dominating the game with his speed like Jack, but he kind of has everything else around his game well-tuned, well-oiled, and ready to go. He's ranked as the first overall prospect on Corey Pronman's list. Here's Tier 2, Bubble Elite NHL All-Star caliber guys. You've got Artyom Levshunov projecting as Noah Dobson, and Carter Yakemchuk projecting as Alex Pietrangelo. Now, Levshunov is pretty much considered the second overall player in this year's draft, if not the first defenseman. He's a really strong player, big dude, NCAA. The comparison we used in our Why I Want video is actually Dion Phaneuf, which is an interesting one. He's physical, he can make plays, he can play a really solid two-way game all around the ice, and he produced a hell of a lot of points for a freshman season. And this is a guy whom he's a lot more further along in his development, I would say, at 18 than Noah Dobson was when Dobson was 18, considering the league, considering that Dobson was playing in the Q, and Levshunov is doing fantastic things in the collegiate system. But if you just want a guy who can do it all, Levshunov is that. He can play big minutes, he can score points, he can play well in his own end, and he very rarely makes mistakes. Meanwhile, for Carter Yakemchuk in the Alex Pietrangelo comment over here, Yakemchuk's an interesting one. He's a big dude, he plays a very solid two-way game, and when it comes to his projection, I mean, he's big, he's got it going, he's also right-handed, and he'll score points, sure, I mean, he had a lot of points this year in the WHL, but if a day comes where another defenseman teammate of his outscores him in the NHL, I wouldn't really be surprised. His game is more so consistency and transition, whilst producing a few points here and there as well. Let's go over to the next tier of prospects. You've got NHL All-Star. Number 4, you've got Zeev Buium, who projects similarly to Morgan Rielly. Anton Salayev projects to Chara, and Berkly Catton is Logan Cooley. Now, Zeev Buium, Morgan Rielly, makes sense. Zeev absolutely torched the NCAA when it comes to points. His game is a lot more suited for the offensive zone, and he is one of these guys who also is a really strong transition defender. But because he is only 6 feet, he may not have the best physical tools to compete at the NHL level. Either way, if he maxes out as a Morgan Rielly, Josh Morrissey kind of guy, I think you're pretty happy with Zeev. Meanwhile, you've got yourself Salayev, who projects similarly to Zdeno Chara, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, they're both huge. Salayev is a very good defensive guy, and playing in the KHL this season, he exhibited many qualities that you could say are similar to other former big giants on the blue line. Makes sense. And then Berkly Catton projects to Logan Cooley. Maybe he doesn't have the same ceiling as Cooley does, but smaller guy, very shifty, can make beautiful plays and dangle around guys. Makes sense. Berkly Catton needs to skate a little bit harder in order to fully move himself up the rankings, I would say. But still, number 6 is a pretty good number. Let's go a little bit faster here. Just explain some of the next ones here. Tier 4, Bubble NHL All-Star. Zayne Parekh projects similarly to John Klingberg, Ivan Demidov to Jeff Skinner, Sam Dickinson to Noah Hanifin, Konsta Helenius to Robert Thomas. Zayne Parekh is the best offensive defenseman in this draft. If you wanted to talk about purely offensive production and numbers, Zayne Parekh is the guy. And John Klingberg, when he was in his prime, the guy was a power play monster. I know a lot of people will clown on Klingberg nowadays for what it is that he's doing in Toronto, but man, was that guy an absolute beast. Meanwhile, Ivan Demidov projects similarly to Jeff Skinner, not because Skinner was like a franchise generational player, but because Skinner in his prime was one of the best pure goal scorers in the NHL. I mean, seriously, you can talk all the crap you want about Skinner, but that guy, when it comes to putting the puck in the back of the net in his prime, he was one of the few players who could just do it whenever he wanted. Demidov is that guy. And you could say that Skinner has recently evolved into more so of a playmaker goal scorer hybrid. Demidov, I think, has a similar skill set to that. So this comparison, while it's not the most flashy, it makes sense in my opinion. Sam Dickinson projects similarly to Noah Hanifin, left-handed guys, solid defensively, big dudes who can play very good two-way games. Not surprised to see that one there. And then Konsta Helenius projecting similarly to Robert Thomas. This one makes sense in my mind too. Helenius is a two-way specialist who has some really pristine puck moments once in a while. He's not the most consistent and flashy producer, but if you need him to produce points, he can be there. But a lot of Helenius' value comes on the penalty kill, comes in his own zone as a two-way-minded center who's definitely got a lot to show for at the NHL level. Now, this is where we move into the even faster turbo mode ones. Top of the lineup player, tier 5, you've got Caden Lindstrom, who projects similar to Chris Kreider, Beckett Sennecke, who projects to Kirill Marchenko, Adam Jiricek, who projects similarly to Vladislav Gavrikov, Cole Eiserman, who projects similarly to Owen Tippett, and T.J. Ginla, who projects to J.J. Peterka. There are a few others down here. Chernyshov projects similarly to Mikheyev, Greentree goes to Batherson, Michael Brandsegg-Nygård projects like Tyler Bertuzzi, Igor Shurin projects like Ivan Barbashev, and then there's the rest of the middle of the lineup players. Now, we can talk more so about these comparisons as we go along, but for now I wanted to use this video as a benchmark to compare some of the guys to NHL names we've already seen. This is a totally new kind of video style we're trying here, just because this was an article published a while ago, and I did think that the dust has settled enough where it's like, okay, we could actually talk about these and not feel too bad about posting them, because, I mean, they were posted on Reddit, so that's available for you to see, even though the original article is behind a paywall. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these player comparisons. Celebrini to Crosby, Levshunov to Dobson, Yakemchuk to Pietrangelo, Buium to Morgan Rielly, Salayev to Chara, Catton to Logan Cooley, Zayne Parekh to John Klingberg, Ivan Demidov to Jeff Skinner, Sam Dickinson to Noah Hanifin, Konsta Helenius to Robert Thomas. We don't have time to talk about some of these other ones at the bottom, but we can make another video if y'all really want to. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.